Hey guys, it's Gina. Welcome to the place where your growth meets mine. Let's talk. Picture this. You send a text to someone you care about. Hours go by, no response. Your brain immediately starts writing a movie. They're ignoring me. I said something wrong. They don't value me. I am not important enough. What if I told you that there is a single psychological concept that once you understand it, it will completely change how you experience moments like this. Back in the 1954, a psychologist named Julian Rotter discovered something fascinating about human behavior. He found that people fall into two categories based on where they believe their power lives. And this one distinction is the difference between people who spiral when things go wrong and people who stay grounded. Today, I'm going to show you the science behind taking things personally and, more importantly, how to rewire your brain to stop doing it. Let's dive in. In 1966, Julian Rotter published groundbreaking research in psychological monographs that would change how we understand human behavior. He called it Locus of control. Literally, where you believe the control in your life is located. And here's how it works. Internal locus of control is when you believe that your actions directly influence what happens to you. When something goes wrong, you look at what you could have done differently. And when something goes right, you credit your effort and decisions. While the external locus of control, you believe outside forces, like fate, other people, are primarily responsible for what happens to you. When things go wrong, it's the universe, it's the timing or something else. When things go right, you were just lucky. Now, here's where it gets interesting for our conversation about taking things personally. Research from multiple studies have shown that people with a more external locus of control are significantly more likely to engage in what psychologists call personalization. That's the technical term for taking things personally. Why is that? Because when you believe external forces control your life, every action someone else takes feels like it has power over you. Their text, their expression, their silence, it all becomes evidence that you are at the mercy of other people's choices. A 2020 study published in Health Economics Research found that people with an internal locus of control had better physical health, better mental health, and reported higher well-being across the board. The more proactive, less depressed, and handled stress more effectively. But here's what really matters. They took things less personally. When someone with an internal locus of control doesn't get a response to their text, their brain asks different questions. What can I do? Should I follow up? Is there another way to communicate? They focus on their own actions and not interpreting someone else's silence as a judgment. When someone with an external locus of control faces the same situation, they ask, what did I do wrong? Why they don't like me? What does this mean about me? See the difference? The connection to taking things personally. Here's the truth that researchers back identified back in 2011 when studying cognitive distortions. Personalization, taking everything personally, is actually a thinking error. It's your brain malfunctioning. When you personalize, you are essentially saying, I'm the cause of everything negative that happens around me, even things completely outside of my control. Someone is in a bad mood, must be because of you. A meeting gets cancelled. You probably upset someone. A friend posts on social media without texting you back. They're avoiding you specifically. But here's what the research actually shows. Most of the time, other people's behavior has almost nothing to do with you. 2018 study on social anxiety and cognitive distortions found that people who frequently personalize are often dealing with depression or anxiety. The more severe their mental health struggles, the greater the cognitive distortion. This isn't a character flaw, it's a learnable habit that can be unlearned. Now let's talk about why does your brain do this in first place. In 1967, two psychologists, Edward Jones and Victor Harris, ran an experiment. They had people read essays either supporting or opposing Fidel Castro. Here's the twist. Some writers chose their position, others were randomly assigned to write for or against Castro, basically forced to argue a position they might not believe. When participants were asked what the essay writers really believed, something fascinating happened. Even when they knew the writer was assigned their position by a coin flip, they still assumed that the essay reflected the writer's true belief. This is what Lee Ross later called the fundamental attribution error in 1977, and it's one of the most well-documented biases in all psychology. What is a fundamental attribution error? It's simple but powerful. When we observe someone's behavior, we automatically assume it reflects their personality or character rather than their circumstances. Someone cuts you off in traffic, they're a jerk. Not, they're rushing to the hospital. Your partner snaps at you, they're mean. No, they had a terrible day at work. A coworker doesn't say hello, they're rude. Not, they didn't see you because they're worried about their sick parent. Harvard psychology researchers have found that this error causes us to make fast, inaccurate assumptions about others without considering that there might be another reason for their behavior. But here is the really wild part. We don't make this error about ourselves. When you cut someone off in traffic, you think, I didn't see them, I'm stressed, I'm running late. You give yourself contextual explanations. But when someone else does it, suddenly they're a terrible person. This is what the actor-observer bias is called. We are incredibly good at explaining our own behavior with situational factors, but we're terrible at doing it for others. So how this connects to taking things personally? When you take things personally, you're actually making two errors at once. Error number one, you're applying the fundamental attribution error to yourself in reverse. Instead of assuming their behavior is about their situation, you assume it's about your character. And error number two, you're giving them all the power and yourself none of it. 2015, the research study made significantly fewer attribution errors. So they stopped taking things personally because they could imagine the other person's circumstances. Now, how is that connected to the real-world practices? Here's how to apply this research starting right now. The next time someone's behavior bothers you, ask these questions. 1. What might be happening in their life right now that I don't know about? 2. If I were them, facing their circumstances, would I behave differently? And 3. Is this really about me, or am I just in the splash zone of their stress? According to Stanford researchers Lee Ross, who coined the term fundamental attribution error, we are all intuitive psychologists who are actually pretty bad at psychology. We think we are experts at reading people, but we are constantly wrong because we ignore the context. The solution of this? Build the habit of considering context before considering character. Now let's get practical. How do you actually shift from an external locus of control where everything feels personal to an internal one where you can focus on what you can control? Research from Rotter's original 1966 work and subsequent studies through 2025 gives us a clear roadmap. Strategy number 1, the control inventory. Every day for the next week, do this exercise that psychologists use in cognitive behavioral therapy. When something bothers you, write it down, then split it into 2 columns. Column number 1, what I control. Then you answer, my response, my interpretation, my next action, whether I ask for clarification, how long I think about this. And column number 2, what I can't or I don't control. Their mood, their thoughts about me, their past experiences that shape their behavior, external circumstances affecting them, whether they like me. According to research published in health psychology journals, people who regularly practice distinguishing between controllable and uncontrollable factors show measurably lower anxiety and higher life satisfaction within just 6 to 8 weeks. Why is that? Because every time you identify what you can control, you can strengthening your internal locus of control. You are literally rewiring your brain to look for the power instead of your powerlessness. Strategy number 2, the situation first principle. Here's a rule that psychologists teach to reduce the fundamental attribution error. Always generate 3 situational explanations before you settle on a personality explanation. Your best friend canceled plans. Before you think they don't value me, ask, are they delaying? There's something stressful going on them? Did something unexpected come up? Or are they going through something they haven't shared? A 2022 study found that people who practice generating alternative explanations for others reported a 40% less interpersonal conflict over a 3-month period. Think about that. Simply practicing curiosity instead of certainty reduced conflicts by almost half. And strategy number 3, the personalization detector. Dr. Aaron Beck, who pioneered cognitive behavioral therapy, identified several cognitive distortions, thinking errors our brain makes. Personalization is one of them. Here's how to catch yourself doing it. Red flag phases or phrases that signal personalization. Is because of me? I must have done something. They are reacting this way because I, or if only I had. When you hear these phrases in your internal dialogue, stop. That's your brain personalizing. Replace it with, this might not be about me at all. What else could explain this? A 2016 study in the Journal of Personality Psychology found that people who actively challenged their personalizing thoughts showed measurable increases in self-esteem and decreases in depressive symptoms within 8 weeks. And that's faster than many medications work. So the bigger picture, building the real security. Here's what the research constantly shows. People with a strong internal locus of control and aren't delusional. They don't think they control everything. They just focus their energy on the things that they can influence rather than ruminating on things they can't. And that single shift from why is this happening to me to what can I do about this changes everything. Studies across education, health psychology, and workplace research have found that people with internal locus of control achieve more academically and professionally, have better physical and mental health, form stronger relationships, handle stress more effectively, and experience less depression and anxiety. Not because they're lucky, but because they stop waiting for external circumstances to change and start changing what they can actually control, their own thoughts, actions, and responses. You might be wondering, if taking things personally is so harmful, why do we all do it? The answer goes back millions of years. For our ancestors, being excluded from the tribe literally meant death. No tribe meant no protection, no food, no sharing, no survival. So our brains evolved in a hypersensitive social alarm system. Every potential sign of rejection triggers that ancient danger signal. Alert, they don't like you. You're going to be alone. you won't survive. But here's the problem. That alarm system can't tell you the difference between your boss walking past you without saying hi, probably distracted, no danger, and actually being exiled from your community, real danger. Your amygdala, the fear center of your brain, treats them the same. The solution isn't to turn off the alarm, it's to teach your prefrontal cortex, the rational part of your brain, to evaluate whether the alarm is accurate or not. That's exactly what these strategies do. You're training your rational brain to override your emotional brain when appropriate. So now let's come back to where we started. That text you sent with no response. The old you would spiral. They're mad. I said something wrong. They don't care about me. The now you, the one who controls, understands locus of control, attribution errors, and cognitive distortions, ask different questions. Are they okay? Should I check in another way? Or should I just give them space and time? You're not sitting there torturing yourself with stories. You're taking action or letting go. Both are forms of control. According to Julian Rotter's original research and decades of follow-up studies, people with an internal locus of control aren't just happier. They are more successful, healthier, and have better relationships. Why? Because they stop wasting energy on things they can't control and pour that energy into things they can. Practice these 3 things. 1. Ask, what situational factors might explain this before assuming anything about character, their or yours. 2. Write down what you control versus what you don't. Notice when you are personalizing and gently redirect. This might not be about me. And here's my promise to you. If you do this constantly, for even just a week, you will feel lighter, more present, and less anxious. The world won't change, but your experience of it will transform completely. If this resonated with you, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss future videos on psychology, personal growth, and mental wellness. Drop a comment with one thing you're committing to stop taking personally this week. And remember, where your power lives is entirely up to you. So choose wisely. Hey guys, it's Gina. Welcome to the place where your growth meets mine. I'll see you next time.